Hey crafty friends, this is Jen from Katahdin Crafts and welcome back to my channel. Today I am up on the Hedgehog Hollow blog with this cute little book club pocket page. This is something a little bit different and outside my box, but I'm really enjoying it. My daughter and I have been looking for a project to work on together. Both of us have kind of hit the COVID blues block. So we are going ahead and we're trying to memory keep in a different way than I normally do, which is the typical 12 by 12 format. And most of the time I do pictures, like that were in the past. Well, this year we're going to do a little bit different. We have an Allie Edwards book and some page protectors in the book that are pocket protectors, unlike what I've done in the past again. And we are going to tell our stories. And I've often said that crafting is a therapy, and it is. I generally have been doing a lot of cards this last year, but like I said, I want to get back to some of my roots. I enjoy memory keeping, so this is what we're going to do together. And also this year, I have been listening to a lot of audiobooks as I create, and my daughter is an avid reader. She doesn't like to listen as much as she likes to read and collect. Like, books are very much a part of her life. So that is something we have read a few together and discussed them, and then some of our own. But I thought that this was a perfect time to integrate my book that I just read, which was a fantastic book, into part of my story. So what better stamp set than part of the subscription box from Hedgehog Hollow in January, which was a reading theme. So for this one, I used One More Chapter stamp set. I also used Coffee and Books, and there are other sentiments that you can use as well that are included in the subscription, and the other stamp set is called Let's Have a Word. So I used all the combination of all that for my first 2021 storybook page. One of the things that gave me this idea was this cute little journal that did come with the subscription box in January. It's another 6-ring binder, and I just wanted to show you. It's just a little bit smaller than the page protectors that I have for my Allie Edwards journal. That's the only reason why I didn't do it that way. But I think that I might set this up for my son, who is also an avid reader, and he can do some journaling in this. And I wanted to show how you can use this. So I'm going to measure right here. I've already have 2 pieces. One is a 6 by 8 exactly, and then this one is a 3 by 8. I'm going to just mark on the 4-inch mark, which is right in the middle, and I'm going to pull out my paper punch, which is 6 holes for those 6-ring binders. You can see there, and this one particular slides, so if you have different journals or binders that you want to use it for, you can adjust it. So I find that that was really useful, and I like that. I will try to have that linked below for you if I can figure out how to get that link there. I will do my best, but if you have any questions and want to know what that is, just go ahead and write me a note. So the paper punch comes with a little hatch mark right in the center. So I'm just going to mark or line up where I mark the paper. And that way I get that centered perfectly. And I did that on the 6 by 8 piece as well. And again, I'm just going to use that mark. You can go a little bit closer if you'd like, but I could eye it well enough. And now that is all punched and ready to go into this cute little journal that came with that subscription box this month. Pull that open. I guess I could have used those little tabs on the back, but I just pulled it open. It worked. And you can see that that is perfectly lined up from that punch. And now you can do this little mini card too, and I could put a little tab there, and it's just like a little insert. And now I'm just gonna erase those little marks that I made for the centering, and this is all set to go. I can put several in there, and he could write something about his books. He could put some pictures of the books in there if you'd like, or something along those lines. So now we're going to start on how I did my actual page. Now the page that I chose to do was broken down into 3 different pieces, and then I'm doing an additional half-page insert with the bookmarks. So that's what I'm doing right now. This is a 3 by 8 piece of cardstock that I'm going to stick the long bookmark on, just like that. And this is me, I'm kind of planning out the pages right now. I already went ahead on Photoshop Elements and typed out my little saying about my little synopsis about the book that I read. You can see that there. That was my handwriting, or not my handwriting, my words about the book that I just simply, like I said, went and made a 4x6 card on Photoshop and typed out that. And now I'm just going to plan the page around it. And this is what I want to do with this. I want to use a hybrid. I want to use my stamps that I already have, my embellishments that I already have, and make this hybrid book with my story in it. So this worked absolutely perfect, because this is definitely a big part of my life, is books, or our books, and listening to them. And so I'm just, like I said, planning this out. The top two smaller pieces of cardstock are both 3x4, and then that bottom one was 4x6, and I just printed that out on a 4x6 piece. My printer can do that. And now I'm using another one of those sentiments. There's so many good sentiments in this subscription box this month. It's hard to decide which one to use. For this project, I ultimately chose to use A Good Book Has No Ending. And that is definitely true, and that also fit really well with that stamp of the girl looking at the book. All right, so I planned out my page. Now it's time to go ahead and stamp out all of my elements. So for this project, I finally got into my Maker Forte Color Hive water-based ink pad, which this one is Eclipse Black, and it is for alcohol marker coloring techniques. And honestly, this is the first time that I used it, and I'm not so sure why I left it sitting there not used yet, because it's fantastic. It covers really well. As you can see, I think I pushed a little bit too hard on this one, but it didn't mess anything up. It gave me a really good clear stamp, and I didn't even have to do it again with my Misty. That's all I needed. One little push, and I got it covered well enough. So I was really impressed. And now they've come out with a couple of new products. One is the Squid Buster Cleaning Fluid, which is the spray. And then they have a Squid Buddy, which is that little pink thing that you're going to see me use. And also a cleaning cloth. And what I did was I squirted it. I had such a heavy covering with this, so I wasn't sure how I should go about this. But what I did is just squirt some of the cleaning fluid, and then I wiped it down with the cloth. And then I squirted just a little bit more, and I used my little Squid Buddy. So that just scrubs out all those little areas, and then I wiped it back down with the cloth. So I was able to get all of that ink off. And then with the cleaning cloth, you can throw that right into your towel load and clean it for all future uses. And I went ahead and stamped out everything else with the same ink pad. And I was able to I only had to stamp it once each. Here I had to go back just because I missed that S in the has, but I was really impressed with the coverage that I got with the ink. And I cleaned everything up, and as you can see, it is Copic marker friendly, so it didn't bleed at all. And now I'm going to color up all my images, and I decided that this was going to be a little bit of a redhead. I have put a little bit of red into my own hair for the winter. Right now, honestly, with COVID going a little rampant, I haven't been to get my hair done, and yeah, it's looking a little silvery. Yeah, I refrained from putting that into her hair, but I did put a nice little highlight, as you can see. So I am blending that out with my triple colors, and I put them all on the screen for you to see. And now I'm going to color the book pages with a warm gray tone. And then I'm going to make my book brown. I have a thing for these old-fashioned books, I guess, because I've made most of my books all brown when I'm coloring. And I wanted the spine to have a little bit of dimension to it, so I'm going around the edges, and then I'm going to make that highlight right in the middle. As you can see, blending it out, just like I did with the hair. I did a light tone, and then I did the medium tone, and then the darker one back to the light, but I left a little bit of a space so you could have a little bit of a highlight. So I left a little bit of white showing in the hair. And then I'm just going to blend all of that out on the book. Again, I'm using my 3 tones, and my E23 is in desperate need of a refill. I found that out, and I had to flip it and start using the chisel side a little bit, and I just need to bite the bullet. I have the refill and I have never refilled any of my Copics, but I've used them so much this year that it's time. It's time to bite the bullet and figure that out. That might be a video in itself, and I'm just, yeah, hopefully it won't be a messy video. So I'm just doing the inner part of this book again in some warm gray tones. I didn't have a whole lot of Copic coloring on this, which was nice. Now I dug out my 4x6 matte books that I had for my scrapbook pages and found some blue and yellow, which also matched my little description. That was the color of the book that I read. The cover of the book was a blue with some yellow writing, so I was matching that up a little bit. And so I'm cutting this down. I'm taking 1/8 of an inch off of each side, and I'm making it so I can make that matte work behind it and bring in those colors again. So now my matte pieces are each 3x4, and then the pieces that I stamped and colored on are each 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. So then I have that 1/8 of an inch matte all around the edges. Now I'm taking my corner rounder and just rounding all of those for a softer look, and I'm going to adhere my stamped images to the back mats. And I'm just using a scrap piece of paper to push that down in case I had any lingering ink on my fingers. And as you can see, the kind of the page did get a little bit dirty from my dirty little fingers, I guess. And I'm going to round the corner to my little typed up saying and then pop that all into the pockets, and that is done. Now I just have to work on my bookmark area. So I cut that down again and just trimmed it along the edges. Just to make it continuity, I wanted to have a matte in this as well. And I'm just coloring this again in the warm grays for the inside of the book. And then I'm going to go with some browns for the outer edge. And I chose a different palette of browns just because I do need to fill those other ones. Those are my, probably the E23, 25, 27 are my favorite E colors to use. So I'm going ahead with a different set for this. And then purple is something that makes me happy. So I like my V12, my V15, and my V17. So I'm going to use that for the coffee cup and also the letters that are outlined, and fill that in. And to me, really, drinking coffee and reading a book, and then maybe even snuggling up in bed and reading the book with a cup of coffee is, yeah, that is life, isn't it? Throw in some crafting and perfect day. I'm just going to fill that in with a simple V15 on all the letters. I decided I didn't need to shade those at all. All right, so I got that all colored, and I wasn't really sure how I was going to handle this bookmark thing. Well, which I'm calling a bookmark because you can slide it out, but it's also a lot of this storytelling they have the little inserts in between the pages. So this is my first attempt of trying this 3x8 format. And then I might put a little tab on the side so I can, pull that in just for some, I don't know, just some decorative flair. So I added a little bit of sparkly blue to the edges there, but I knew that it still needed something. And I'm still trying to figure out what it needs at this point, but I grabbed out some stickles in a yellow and a purplish bluish color, Starry Nights, and the stickles color yellow is actually just called yellow. So yellow and Starry Nights I used on that, and I just randomized the dots, give that a little bit of sparkle. And when I got done with this, I knew that this was going to have to dry overnight, and I was going to have to let my mind process and what I wanted to do, because it needed a little something else. So what I did is I found some coffee stamps that I had in my stash from Honeybee Stamps, and I used those to cut out the coffee beans, the hearts, and the little sugar cubes. And I added that just for a little bit of interest on the top and the bottom of that bookmark. And there you have it, my very first Craft My Story page, and it was about a book that I read this year. So that is exciting. So I got to use my Hedgehog Hollow subscription box for something other than just a card or a bookmark. I was able to actually integrate it into something that I wanted to do throughout the year. So that was exciting. It's about being able to use these products in more than one way and get, the bang out of our buck. So I was very pleased with how this little page came out, and it made me super happy this week, and I can't wait to continue on figuring out how to use my stash in more than one way this year to make those dollars stretch out a bit and also get my crafting mojo in full swing. Well, thank you so much for stopping and visiting. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. I really appreciate your support, and I look forward to doing some projects with the February box. It is a super fun box, and I cannot wait to dive into that. Thank you. Have a great crafty day. Bye bye.